welcome back to another episode of From Breakup to Badass, the podcast that is going to teach you how to heal your heart, reclaim your power, and become the woman that you were meant to be. And if you haven't done so, remember to subscribe so you don't miss out any of the new episodes every single Wednesday. And if you like the podcast, leave a review because I would love to hear from you. All right, today I want to talk about something that sometimes people don't talk about in the breakup because maybe you're afraid of what people are going to say, right? And it's not actually sadness, it's not loneliness, it's anger, pure, hot, sometimes even terrifying rage. And why do I want to talk about it today? It's because last week I was with one of my clients and she said, I'm just mad. I'm furious, right? And I mean, I just held this space for her at that moment because I've been there too. I don't think I did develop the anger, the rage, at least not in my second marriage, but I do remember in my first marriage I did, or my first divorce. And maybe so have you. So today we are going to talk about it. Why you're angry, why that anger is so sacred, and why feeling it fully might actually be the key to finally setting yourself free, which is, one of the goals of this podcast. So let's talk about a little bit about anger. Anger is a secondary emotion, and I think I'm gonna develop, I'm gonna actually talk in one of the next episodes about emotions because this is a real important topic. But anger is a secondary emotion, and it's what shows up when you're hurt, when you're betrayed, when you're disrespected, or even when you are scared. But as women, especially after a breakup, we're told to stay composed, to stay graceful, polite, and maybe you feel this way. And I don't even know if it's just for breakup. It's for our lives. It's like you have to behave. So instead of rage, we say when somebody asks, I'm fine, right? But as I invite you to understand, unexpressed anger doesn't just disappear. It mutates. It mutates into what? Into bitterness, into anxiety, into self-blame, even physical illness. And I do think, and I have said this so many times, but when you don't deal with your emotions, they can cause actually disease, right? And according to a research of the American Psychological Association, chronic unexpressed anger is linked to higher rates of heart disease, digestive issues, and insomnia. So do we want to feel anger? As I has mentioned before, yeah, we need to feel our emotions, but also we get to manage them, right? Which is very important. So when we are angry, right, and when we are not dealing with that suppressed anger, that is gonna show on depressive system, delay emotional recovery. And this is something that I said, you always have the slow way or the fast way. So do you want to heal this breakup the fast way or the slow way? And I'm sure you want to heal in the fastest way. So we have to deal with these emotions, right? Another client that I had, let's call her Vanessa. After 18 years of marriage, her husband suddenly left, right? No conversation, no phone call, just gone without any explanation. And I think that's sometimes it's kind of hard, right? But she wasn't crying. When she called me, she was yelling. And do you relate that? Does that has happened to you before? So she would say like, how could he? She asked me. I mean, she didn't ask me. She was actually in our session, and she was telling me, and she was saying like, how could I have wasted so much time? And I think sometimes we wonder, right? Why did we stay so long? So it's not only the anger towards him, or that person, our partner, it's also about the rage that we feel like, why did I do this? Why didn't I leave early? And beneath that rage was grief, right? But what it was powerful is that I felt like she wasn't breaking. Actually, she was actually waking up. So my point, and if you listen to the first episode when I talk about grief, and the second episode when I talk about grief, it is important to feel your emotions. Yes, if you are angry, feel it. If you need to yell, feel it, because then you're going to be able to manage that emotion. All right, so ask yourself, like, what am I really angry about? The thing, when you ask yourself questions, you go to this self-discovery in your life, which is one of the best things that you can do for you, right? So when you ask yourself good questions, your quality of life is gonna be better. Why? Because you are going to the source. Like, where is this coming from? So what am I really angry about? What expectations were shattered, for example, or what boundaries were crossed? Who do I need to forgive? And is that person also me? And I think this is important because sometimes in these breakups, we always think, what did I do wrong? And we blame ourselves. So when you ask yourself, what am I angry? Okay, I'm angry because he left and he didn't say anything. I'm angry because I'm not good enough. And then you start working on the answers. When you start asking the question, you start working on the answer as well. Or you can start reframing, which is this is very important. So let's say I say, uh, so he left because he doesn't love me, and I'm not good enough. So if I'm angry because I'm not good enough, because I stayed there for so long and I didn't make a decision, whatever it is, then you ask yourself, okay, but we had a good relationship. Well, I did what I could with the tools that I had. So when you start reframing the anger, that's when you can manage that feeling and that emotion. So anger is an activator emotion. It tells you something isn't right. It points you to your unmet needs and your unspoken no's, like your boundaries. So if you can reframe anger as a boundary was crossed, or a part of you that was ignored, a need that was denied, a voice that wasn't heard, because sometimes that happens. So anger, I think it was Hemphill, he said, anger is the bodyguard of your boundary. So sometimes, yes, we feel angry because we didn't act the way we should. Like we didn't prioritize ourselves. And if you go to the first episode when I talk about, how I talk about my story, but how sometimes we lose our identity because we want to please that person so much that we lose who we are. So anger in the brain, we have a part of the brain. Well, if you're watching me, you know what I'm doing with my hands. If you're not, I'm just showing my brain. But in the middle of our brain, there is something that is called the amygdala. So anger activates the amygdala, which is the part of the brain in charge of the emotions, right? So it increases adrenaline and motivation. It could, that part of the brain. So anger is a signal that it's worth listening to, because it speaks to us. And every time you have this person in our head that is talking to us, just listen to her, just listen to what she's saying. Maybe she has trauma, unresolved issues, and maybe you're there to say, yes, you're okay, well, yes, it's over, but you did what you could. Or it's good that this happened because it's not going to happen again, because you're going to make those boundaries, right? So one of the things that you can do is affirmation exercises, like, it's okay to feel anger. It's okay to feel angry. Uh, it's not who I am, because, and this is important. Anger is an emotion. Emotions, they come into your body, they ignite, and they are absorbed. I'm gonna pause here. Emotions are a burst of chemical that ignite and are absorbed in your body for 6 seconds. So when you release those emotions, or when you breathe in, breathe out for 90 seconds, that's a minute and a half, they're going to decrease the power. And that's what you wanted. And that's how you deal with your emotions. So when you're feeling angry, let it out. Hopefully not with somebody, maybe just in your place or by yourself. But maybe one affirmation that you can say is like, I'm angry right now, or I feel angry. I think it's better to say I feel angry, because that's momentaneous, instead of I am, because you're not angry like forever and ever. You're not that person. Okay. So it's okay that I feel angry right now. It's not who I am. It is what reminds me of what I deserve. Something like that could work. And it is important, as I said, to feel all your emotions. So the thing is that if we don't feel it, right, as I mentioned before, unexpressed, unprocessed anger, or whatever the emotions that we're feeling, either explodes outward, hurting others, because I'm gonna yell at, I don't know, my ex or my kids or whoever it's on the way, or it turns inward, hurting myself. So it's your responsibility to feel, right? You don't have to pretend that you're okay, but you do have to learn how to channel it. So there are different things that you can do, and I think I talked about one of these exercises before, but I remember one exercise is you can yell in your car. Nobody is listening to you. This is what voice release is. And I remember maybe, I don't know, 3 years ago, something happened to me with my driver's license. I couldn't renew it, and I had to wait for like for 30 days. That meant that I couldn't drive. And I'm like in the car, like, God, what else? Please stop, or something like that. I said. So I let it all out. And I let it all out. I yell, I scream. And then it's like it went away. It's not like I felt perfectly fine afterwards, but I felt release, and that anxiety wasn't there. So the voice release, yell in your car, scream into a pillow, put a pillow, and you can scream, or say what you couldn't say, or write a letter. I remember many, many years ago in my first divorce, I kept writing letters to my ex-husband, and every like I would write one letter, and I never send them to him, but I threw them away, and then I would write another letter with all my feelings and everything. And by the third letter, it's like like my emotions were not the same, because I was having an space for my emotions. Something that you can do as well is writing. Journal is amazing. It can be amazing for you, but reach writing, right? Set 5 minutes in your calendar. Let your pen fly, right? And do not edit, do not filter anything, and then burn the pages. That's what I did with the letters. I burned the pages. That's something. The third thing that you can do, movement. Jump. Like, if you can see my house, I have my trampoline just right here, my mini trampoline. But kickboxing, fast running, heavy lifting, move the emotion through your body through that rage. And also maybe a ritual, like, well, this could be like the letter at the beginning that I said. You write a letter to the person who hurt you. You don't need to send it, just burn it. Every time that you do it, I promise you're gonna feel better. And just remember that you cannot heal what you won't let move. So you need to feel your emotions. It's so important. And the anger, I've seen it over and over that it can take years from you. You don't want that because the thing is, this is the thing about anger. You are the one feeling it. You are the one poisoning yourself. The other person is not. So it is important that you feel those emotions and you feel the anger that you have so you can let it go. And just remember, like, your anger is not a sign. You are not broken, and this too shall pass. It's a sign that you're waking up. You're waking up to what you deserve, to what you no longer accept, to the version of you that no longer plays small just to keep the peace. You're out of it, or maybe you're trying, but that's not damage, it's your rebirth. So one of the questions that I encourage you to maybe just, if you want to pause with every question, you can do, and you can write it down, but ask yourself and journal about it. Why is my anger asking me to protect? So basically, the kind of questions that I mentioned before. Or who benefits when I suppress my anger? And who would I become if I express it? Just like that. And a third question could be, what new boundaries will set with the fire I now feel? I always say everything that happens for a reason. And instead of asking yourself why, ask yourself what for. There is a reason why you actually went through this or you're going through this. It's okay. It's gonna pass. And if you feel angry, it's okay. Just deal with the emotions. Do not suppress what's happening to you because you're gonna get out of it. I've seen it over and over. If you do the work, you're gonna be fine. Um, so yeah, wow, anger. And this is just because of my session last week. So I wanted to talk about anger. So if you are here, there is a free guide. It's called From Breakup to Badass cheat sheet. It's on the comments on the episodes. Please download it. It is a great way to start in this process. And if you liked the episode, please share it with the person who needs to hear it right now. And I would love it if you share it in your stories and tag me so more people can actually benefit from this content. And I'm going to leave you with the same quote that I leave you every single week. You've got this. Now go and live like the badass that you are.